Creative and tactically astute, Pep Guardiola is the epitome of a football genius. But Guardiola is one of the most demanding managers of all time. His intensive, detailed approach means he is always at odds with some players in his team. Here are 5 players who fell out with Pep Guardiola. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified of our latest video. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Of course, Zlatan is always first on a list of players that had issue with Pep Guardiola. Do you remember our overrated players video when Zlatan clashed with Guardiola? Well, here is a continuation of that. Barcelona splashed £59 million to bring Zlatan to Camp Nou, but with the massive egos of Zlatan and Pep in the same dressing room, there were bound to be fireworks. Zlatan only lasted a year in Spain with the eternal spite for Pep Guardiola. At this time, Barcelona's team was built to Messi's strength and Zlatan got played out wide. The outspoken Swede did not agree with this treatment. In his infamous words, Zlatan said, "When you buy me, you are buying a Ferrari. If you drive a Ferrari, you put premium petrol in the tank. You hit the motorway and you step on the gas." Guardiola filled up with diesel and he took a spin in the countryside. He should have bought a Fiat. Zlatan called Pep a coward and said he had no balls. Despite his hatred of Pep, there is still some mutual respect between the pair, as Zlatan calls Pep the best coach in the world. Samuel Eto'o. At the peak of his prowess, Samuel Eto'o was an actual beast of a striker. The striker won the treble with Barcelona and the Champions League with Inter Milan the following year. Across both seasons, Samuel Eto'o scored 52 goals. When Pep took over from Barcelona, he shipped out top players like Ronaldinho, but Eto'o had an opportunity to play with Pep as his coach. Despite Pep being instantly successful as a coach from the second team, Eto'o felt Pep had not proven himself well enough and objected to being told what to do. Some say Guardiola's insistence to make Messi the centrepiece did not sit right with Eto'o, as he was not keen on bending his game to suit the Argentine. "I told him I am Samuel Eto'o," said the Cameroonian. "I'm the one who makes you win. He was teaching me how to attack when he played as an average midfielder." Eto'o and Pep reportedly spoke just 3 times before he jetted off to join Inter Milan. In Inter Milan though, Eto'o enjoyed himself. He won the treble and had a fabulous relationship with Jose Mourinho and was not quiet about it. In Samuel Eto'o's own words, "I can't compare Mourinho to Guardiola. One of them couldn't win the Champions League with Bayern Munich and the other did it with Porto." João Cancelo. Another ego clash with Pep, another training fracas, another talent gone. João Cancelo has left for Bayern Munich on a loan move with an option to make the deal permanent just before the transfer deadline. There was a sense of shock between fans and the media concerning the speed of the move. And yet again, who was involved? You guessed it, Pep Guardiola. Following the World Cup, Cancelo saw his time on the pitch reduced drastically. He was vocal with his teammates about his frustration with the situation. As Cancelo opened up about the situation, he got even more frustrated that he did not start the FA Cup game against Arsenal. This was the last straw for Pep Guardiola. His relationship with Cancelo was broken beyond repair, and he cut his star player loose. Earlier in the season, it seemed impossible to name Manchester City's lineup without Cancelo. He was dynamic and gave so much attacking support to the Manchester City team. But we guess with Pep, no one is untouchable, except Messi of course. Yaya Touré. Yaya was an imposing defensive midfielder during his time with Manchester City and Barcelona. During his era, Touré was the ideal definition of a world-class defensive midfielder as he anchored some of the best players in the world. But then Guardiola came in Yaya Touré's career took a 360-degree turn. Playing under Pep Guardiola happens only once for most players, but for Yaya Touré, it happened 2 times. At 23, Yaya Touré joined Barcelona as the defensive anchor for Xavi and Deco. For some years, the Yaya Touré plan worked for Barcelona. But when Pep Guardiola came, everything changed for Touré. Guardiola sold so many stars and replaced them with players from the academy like Pedro and Busquets. Eventually, Busquets established himself as a first-team regular, and Touré's game time got reduced to 1,500 minutes in his final season at the club. Yaya Touré's strengths were not right for Pep Guardiola's possession-based football. Yaya Touré joined Manchester City in 2010, but 6 years later, Pep Guardiola joined him there. Just like in Barcelona, Yaya Touré was on the bench for Pep Guardiola once again. Things got heated up between the pair when Yaya Touré launched an attack against the genius manager. In his own words, Pep was cruel to him. Do you believe that Barcelona could have done that with Andres Iniesta? I even started wondering to myself whether it was about my colour. When you see that he's had no problems with Africans whenever he's been in the past, you wonder. When the day comes that he picks a team featuring 5 Africans and not naturalised Africans, I promise I will send him a cake. It's such a shame to imagine what could have been if Yaya Touré and Pep Guardiola got along. Joe Hart. At one point, Joe Hart was one of the best goalkeepers in football. The Premier League champion was a key player in Mancini's Manchester City's maiden Premier League winning team. It was going heavenly for Hart at Manchester City, until Pep Guardiola came and Hart became heartbroken. Shortly after joining Manchester City, Pep Guardiola brought Claudio Bravo to Manchester City, making him the world's most expensive goalkeeper. He then sent Hart on loan to Torino. Both moves worked out badly for Pep and Joe Hart, and a short year later, Joe Hart was back at Manchester City. Pep Guardiola brought Ederson instead for a stunning £35 million, and Hart had to settle for a West Ham loan deal instead. Hart was then eventually sold from the club. Joe Hart claimed his treatment under Pep was harsh and he didn't get a chance to prove himself. So there we have it. These are 5 players who fell out with the legendary Pep Guardiola. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do you know more players who aren't the biggest fan of Guardiola? Let us know in the comment section below. For more content, check out some iconic football moments VAR would have reviewed in this video. Until next time.